Yeah, you staged it! You staged it! Staged it! You staged it! Child abuser! You staged this! You're a child abuser! You child abuser! You child abuser! Where's Jimmy Savile? Where's Jimmy Savile?
Right. Imagine this. You're at the World Darts Championship. Alexandra Palace. Ally pally to those in the know. You've got your pint. Your mates are beside you. The atmosphere is absolutely electric, and there's a brief lull between matches. What do? If you're thousands of British darts fans this week, apparently you collectively decide to serenade the Prime Minister with a charming little ditty that goes, Keir Starmer is a wanker. Yes, you heard that correctly. Not once, but multiple times across different sessions, the crowds at one of Britain's most beloved sporting events have turned the venue into a full-blown political protest, chanting their disapproval of the PM with a kind of passion usually reserved for, well, actual darts. And honestly, when the dart crowd is against you, mate, you know you've lost a room. This isn't just a bad poll. This isn't just Twitter being mean. This is thousands of regular punters, pints in hand, united in their absolute disdain for Keir Starmer. And it's glorious chaos. Quick favor, if you're absolutely loving this already, smash that subscribe button and hit the bell icon. Over 94% of you haven't yet. It's completely free, takes literally 1 second, and it genuinely means everything to us here at British Mirror. Cheers if you did. Right, back to the carnage at Ally Pally. So let's set the scene properly, because this isn't just a one-off moment of football-style banter. This is a pattern. On Tuesday, December 23rd, crowds at the World Darts Championship, waiting for a second-round match between Danny Noppert and Justin Hood, decided to make their feelings crystal clear. During the evening session, thousands of voices joined together in a chorus that echoed around Alexandra Palace. Keir Starmer is a wanker. Now, for those unfamiliar with British sporting culture, this is about as clear a vote of no confidence as you can get from the public. This isn't polite disagreement. This isn't writing a stern letter to your MP. This is thousands of people, from all walks of life, collectively agreeing that the Prime Minister is, in their view, not doing a very good job. And they are doing it at the darts, which somehow makes it even more British and even more devastating. But here's where it gets even better. This wasn't the first time. Oh no. Just days earlier, on Saturday, December 20th, during a match between Nathan Aspinall and Leonard Gates, the same thing happened. The crowds once again accused Starmer of being a wanker, this time to the tune of the White Striped Seven Nation Army, which, if you've ever been to a football match or any sporting event in the UK, you'll know is the unofficial anthem of mass coordination. And Nathan Aspinall, the actual player on stage, was caught on Sky Sport appearing to encourage the chant, waving his arms up in the air like a conductor leading an orchestra of discontent. The man's trying to win a darts match, and is also apparently moonlighting as a political provocateur. You genuinely cannot make this stuff up. Now, Sky Sports, bless them, have been trying to manage this PR nightmare. Back in October, the World Grand Prix, they were forced to impose generic crowd noises over a similar derogatory chorus aimed at Starmer. They're essentially trying to sanitize the broadcast, to pretend the crowds aren't absolutely tearing into the Prime Minister. But it's not working. The clips leak online. Social media does its thing. And suddenly everyone knows that the darts crowd, of all demographics, has turned on Keir Starmer. And when I say everyone, I mean everyone. This isn't niche political Twitter. This is mainstream, front page, water cooler conversation stuff. So why is this happening? Why have darts fans, specifically, decided that Keir Starmer is public enemy number one? Well, let's look at the numbers, because they paint a rather grim picture for the Prime Minister. Earlier this month, polling by YouGov showed that Starmer had a net favorability score of -54. -54. That's catastrophically bad. To put that in perspective, That's similar territory to Boris Johnson on the day of his resignation in 2022, when he'd been caught lying repeatedly about Partygate and his own MPs had essentially forced him out. It's also comparable to Jeremy Corbyn's ratings in June 2019, when Labour was hemorrhaging support and heading towards electoral disaster. Just 1 in 6 Britons currently holds a favourable opinion of Starmer. 1 in 6. That means 5 out of every 6 people either dislike him or are indifferent. And indifference, in politics, is almost worse than outright dislike because at least dislike is engagement. Now, Starmer and his team will point to achievements. They'll tell you that net migration has dropped by over 200,000 during his first 12 months in government. They'll talk about stability, about rebuilding public services, about being the adults in the room after years of conservative chaos. And those aren't insignificant claims. Net migration dropping by that much is a big deal, especially given how central immigration has been to British political discourse for the past decade. But here's the problem. Nobody cares. Or rather, people don't feel it. Because while the statistics might show improvement, people's lived experience hasn't caught up. Bills are still high. The NHS still feels broken. Wages aren't keeping pace with inflation. And when you're struggling to make ends meet, hearing that net migration is down doesn't exactly warm the cockles of your heart. It doesn't pay your heating bill. It doesn't reduce your grocery costs. And it certainly doesn't make you think, you know what? That Keir Starmer's doing a brilliant job. Anna Turley, chairwoman of the Labour Party, tried to put a brave face on things last week. She insisted that Starmer would absolutely still be Prime Minister next Christmas and attributed public dissatisfaction to people not yet feeling promised changes in their pockets. She told Sky News, people will really start to see and feel the change in their pockets. Keir's got a very clear vision for making sure that people can really deal with the cost of living, that public services will get back on their feet, and is building a Britain that is tolerant, that is open, that is confident in itself, and that is really about renewal and investment in young people, as opposed to the division and the decline of the opposition. Now, that's a lovely soundbite. It ticks all the boxes. Vision, tolerance, renewal, investment. But the problem is, it sounds like exactly the kind of thing a political operative would say when they are desperately trying to spin a disaster into something manageable. Because out in the real world, at places like Alexandra Palace, people aren't buying it. And here's the thing about these Dutch chants. They're not organized political protests. There's no campaign group behind this. No one's handing out flyers or coordinating on WhatsApp groups. This is organic, spontaneous public anger. These are regular people, many of whom probably voted Labour in the last election, who've decided that Starmer has let them down. And they're expressing that frustration in the most British way possible, by taking the piss out of him at a sporting event. It's the modern equivalent of being pelted with rotten vegetables in the town square. And for Starmer, that should be terrifying. Because if you've lost the darts crowd, you've lost Middle England. You've lost the working-class voters Labour desperately needs to hold on to. You've lost the people who gave you a massive parliamentary majority and expected you to deliver real, tangible change. There's also something deeply symbolic about this happening at the darts. Darts isn't football. It's not rugby. It's not a sport associated with hooliganism or political extremism. It's darts. It's one of the most accessible, inclusive, working-class sports in Britain. It's a sport where everyone's welcome, where the crowd is as much a part of the spectacle as the players, where the atmosphere is all about having a good time. And if that crowd is turning on you, if they are using their platform to collectively express their disdain, then you're not just unpopular with a fringe group. You're unpopular with the mainstream. Now, let's talk about the rumors swirling around Westminster, because this isn't happening in a vacuum. There are whispers, increasingly loud whispers, of in-party insurrection. Labour MPs are reportedly growing restless. Some are concerned that Starmer's achievements aren't cutting through to the public. Others are worried that the party is repeating the mistakes of previous Labour governments, focusing too much on messaging and not enough on material improvements to people's lives. There's a sense, rightly or wrongly, that Starmer is all style and no substance. That is brilliant at looking prime ministerial, but less brilliant at actually governing. And when your own MPs are starting to question your leadership, when backbenchers are grumbling to journalists about the direction of the party, that's when a prime minister's position becomes genuinely precarious. The comparison to Boris Johnson is particularly telling. Johnson was forced out not because he lost a general election, but because his own party turned on him. His approval ratings tanked. His MPs decided he was an electoral liability, and he was gone. Now, Starmer's in a slightly different position because Labour has a huge parliamentary majority. He's not at immediate risk of losing a vote of no confidence. But politically, the trajectory is worrying. If his ratings continue to plummet, if Labour starts losing by-elections, if those darts chants become representative of broader public sentiment, then his MPs will start to panic. And panicking MPs do unpredictable things. They start briefing against the leadership. They start positioning themselves for a potential contest. They start asking whether the party would be better off with someone else at the helm. And let's be brutally honest here, Starmer isn't exactly a charismatic figure. He's competent, certainly. He's serious. He's loyally, but is not inspiring. He's not the kind of politician who sets hearts racing or imagination soaring. He's the kind of politician you vote for because he's the safe option, the sensible choice, the grown-up alternative. But when the safe option starts to feel like the wrong option, when competence without charisma starts to look like just boring ineffectiveness, then people stop giving you the benefit of the doubt. And right now, the British public has stopped giving Starmer the benefit of the doubt. They are not waiting patiently for things to improve. They are chanting about him at the darts. There's also a generational element to this. Starmer came to power promising change, promising to fix the mess left by years of Conservative government. Young people, in particular, had high hopes. They wanted action on climate change, on housing, on job security. They wanted a government that actually gave a damn about their future. And so far, they're not seeing it. The promised changes haven't materialized. The cost of living is still crushing. Opportunities still feel limited. And that disillusionment is dangerous because young voters are the ones who can swing elections. They are the ones who can energize campaigns or stay home and doom them. And if they've decided Starmer's just another disappointing politician, then Labour's in serious trouble. But perhaps the most damning thing about these darts chants is what they represent, a complete breakdown in the relationship between the government and the governed. People are supposed to respect their leaders, even if they disagree with them.